Yo guys, so today I'll be covering on Nava Grove, an upcoming project that is going to be launching soon. And today I have a client that is actually considering this development, and I will share with you the key points that I shared with my client, and also some things to take note is not all the blocks are within 1 km to Henry Park Primary School. So I'll have a portion covering the Henry Park School effect, and I also will use the case study from Pine Grove to show you the difference. I also have compiled the launch day for Pinetree Hill, which is the plot right beside Nava Grove, and then we will see what is the developer's pricing strategy for Pinetree Hill, and then we can see what is something that we can predict for Nava Grove as well. So Nava Grove, the prices has been released and is very attractive for a RCR project. Alright, so for Nava Grove, the preview starts on 2nd of November and then booking day is 16th of November. So today, if you really find my analysis useful and you want something that is personalized for you, you can feel free to scan the QR code and reach out to me, or you can just WhatsApp my number directly, 84849302. So I've already seen the show flat. It's really very beautiful, and I think it's something that stands out even in today's current launches that is very exciting as well. So I think definitely if you're an investor or looking for somewhere for own stay, I think this is something that you should consider potentially, especially at its attractive entry price. Okay, so you see here we have the latest pricing, Nava Grove indicative pricing now. For the 2-bedroom, right, we are looking at even a quantum of 1.39 for RCR area. Of course, this is 624 square feet, and then we have the 3-bedroom, 947 square feet, starting from 2.19 million for a 3-bedroom, 2.3k PSF, 4-bedroom, 2.99 million, 2.2k PSF, 1.4k square feet, 3.47, 2.3k PSF, 5-bedroom, 1.7k, 3.99 million, and 2.3k PSF. Okay, so right now I'll give you a little bit of a background for the Ulu Pandan area and also the land size, buyer profile, as well as rankings. Okay, so this is the actual site area, and I zoom in now. The site on the left is Nava Grove, and then the one on the right is Pinetree Hill. So now that we have the indicative pricing for Nava Grove already, we can kind of see already how the developer is going to price based on Pinetree Hill itself. Of course, it's not going to be equal, but I think most developers, they have a certain strategy going into the launch day. So I think it will be good to study what happened on the actual launch day for Pinetree Hill, and then we will try to replicate that for Nava Grove. And then over here, at the bottom here, we have Pine Grove, which is the much older development. So this one is just to give you a feel of the entire area itself. And then on top here, we have the greenery forest, the clementi forest that side. Okay, so now the background info for the Pine Grove. So you can see Pine Grove, right, they already tried to en bloc the 5th time already. So when you actually look at this entire Ulu Pandan area, and you must consider, if let's say you are buying the stacks for Nava Grove, which is this side, and then Pinetree Hill, which is this side, be prepared that there is a potential for Pine Grove to actually be en bloc because they have already tried 5 times, but unfortunately it all failed. So right now, you can think of it as a good thing or bad thing, because if you are looking to stay at Nava Grove and Pinetree Hill itself, having the Pine Grove to en bloc right after your TOP, you all have to face the construction noise for a long time. Minimally 4 years, because they still need to go through demolition, and then they build up the entire brand new Pine Grove area. But of course, I think the developer will price this facing slightly cheaper. Whereas later I will cover, right, if you face towards the clementi forest, what are the potential things you also need to take note? Because from what I see based on the master plan, it might not be kept as a forest even for the longer term. So this is something that you also need to potentially take into consideration. Okay, so now for Nava Grove, actually the project info between the two developments, Nava Grove and Pinetree Hill, they are very similar because the land size is almost the same. I think the number of units also quite similar. So I think main thing is just to take note. The main thing is I'll just point out the differences between the two developments. Then from there, it's easier for you all to make a more informed decision. So main thing here, Nava Grove, we are looking at a land density of about 489 square feet per unit. So I have seen the development itself. I think it's really very beautiful in our current inventory in the market. I think there's not much new launches that is even close to what I see at Nava Grove, because I think it's really very beautiful. If you haven't been to the show flat yourself, I don't think you will actually know what I'm describing lah. Then now we look at Pinetree Hill. So the main thing I want to point out is that Pinetree Hill, you have a TOP gap. So Pinetree Hill, the advantage is that you're able to get the keys almost, I think, 2 years earlier than Nava Grove. So I think that's one advantage if you are looking for own stay. And then for Pinetree Hill, we are looking at a 466 square feet land density per unit. So when you compare Pinetree Hill and Nava Grove, right, actually the land size for Nava Grove is about 30,000 square feet bigger, but the land density for Nava Grove is slightly more also because the number of units versus the land ratio lah. Alright, so now we have the unit mix. So you can see they have a very good portion of 2 bedrooms, you see. Then after that, the 3 bedrooms onwards to 5 bedrooms. These are more for the own stay lah. Other than this, they don't have the 1 bedrooms. Then over here is the unit mix for Pinetree Hill. So you also have from 1 bedroom all the way to 2 bedrooms. It's about 40+% to 50% range. So it's almost equal to what we have at Nava Grove. It's about 50-50 kind of ratio lah. Okay, so right now I will do a site plan comparison and also the rankings, just the slight difference between the two developments. So just to orientate you a little bit, basically here Nava Grove and then here Pinetree Hill, and they are side by side. So here we have the Pinetree Hill site plan. It's really very beautiful. You only have 3 blocks over here, 1, 2 and 3, and then the rest is actually covered by the facilities. So in terms of the landscaping to building ratio, right, it's a nice 80-20% ratio, and I think it's really very extensive. Even if you compare Pinetree Hill on its own to the other launches currently we have, I don't think other projects are even close to what Pinetree Hill is offering at the moment. So I think it's a very beautiful project on its own. Then for Nava Grove and Pinetree Hill, we are both sitting on elevated land. Of course, I think there's a slight difference of the elevation of the land between the two, but I think this one is just something for you to take note lah. Okay, so right now we take a look at Nava Grove 1. I think the main difference we can see over here is actually this shelter walkway. So Nava Grove over here, they have this shelter walkway to the bus stop opposite side lah. I think that is one of the main differences I can see on the ground. And I think one more thing is, you see over here, of course for Nava Grove, these two will be the nearest bus stop, whereas for Pinetree Hill, these two will be the nearest bus stop. But Pinetree Hill, right, so when I see the side plan itself, they actually have a side gate that's over here. So means the side gate, you go to this side like this, and here they actually have an emergency side gate, which I don't know, you are being late for work, is it count as an emergency lah? Okay, but we had over there's a side gate, but I don't know how often it can be used. So this one is up to developer. I don't know in what circumstances they will actually open it up, but from what I see, actually they have a shelter walkway to go to the opposite side. So I think this is a slight win for Nava Grove side. Overall, there is not much difference between the two. I've been to the Nava Grove show flat. So one thing I really like about Nava Grove is that actually you see the number of water features they have here is more than Pinetree Hill one. It's because the buildings, right, you see it's 3 buildings also, very similar to what we see at Pinetree Hill, but they actually have the gyms, the function rooms, right, at the ground floor for each block. So in a sense, your first floor, right, is still the communal facilities. So you see, it's even more land that is allocated for landscaping. Yeah, so I think that is the key difference as you compare to Pinetree Hill itself. Yeah, okay, so you see Nava Grove also, they have these elevated buildings lah. Yeah, so like what I mentioned just now, on top of just the elevation from the ground, you also have the first floor, like the clubhouse, gym, all this. So I think this is, I would say, the main differentiating factor if you were to ask me lah. So you see, about second floor will start about 12.6 meters from the landscape level. So I think it's really quite a good buffer distance. Okay, so now we look at Nava Grove, the 3-bedroom layout, as well as the ranking that I myself have put out in terms of value proposition. Okay, so now we look at the rankings for the 3-bedroom layouts, right? This is my own personal ranking. Of course, you can have your own one. So there's a total of 7 layouts, and we will start from number 7 first, okay? This is a harmonization project. So whatever square feet you see here is the livable space. They never include the AC strata size. Okay, so why I put this as rank number 7, you have to take note, right? The master bathroom here actually don't have window. So I think this is something that I already don't like. And also the kitchen, they also don't have external windows. So I think this is something that you really have to take note. You cannot just look at the quantum and then you feel like, oh wow, quantum very cheap, maybe very easy to exit. But you need to think in terms of the buyers here. What is their mentality? Will they require a window in the master bathroom? Will they require a kitchen window, or they're okay with ventilation? So I think all these things are minor things that you need to take note. Yeah, so also do take note for the rank number 79471, their common bathroom also don't have external window. So I really think this is a very big drawback. I don't think this is the best layout, because I think windows for ventilation for the toilets as well as the kitchen is really very important. Okay, so now we have rank number 6. So I'll be jumping around the different sizes. You just bear with me. The main thing is I'm going through with you based on my own rankings, then I will compare the differences for you guys. So you see here, 990 square feet. The other thing I like is already because the master bath, they actually have a window. So I think that's a win. The common bathroom also got window, and the kitchen also got window. And on top of that, they have a storage. So I think in terms of layout, this 990 and you're adding about 50 square feet difference, the value you get from this 990 square feet is a lot more already as compared to the rank 7 one. Yeah, so the storage over here. Okay, so right now I'm going to cover on the rank number 5 one. So you can see rank number 5, right, is exactly the same size, 990 square feet as just now the rank number 6. So layout is going to be largely similar. Master bathroom window, common bathroom window, kitchen window, storage here. Main thing is this walkway area, right? You can see the positioning of the DB box. Why I rank this slightly higher, even though they have more space allocated in the walkway, right? It's because I would imagine that the buyers, the profile here, value privacy more. Whereas you see the rank number 6, the walkway here is like one straight row into the living room area. So this one is really more of who you can imagine as the profile of your future buyers if you are invested today. And also maybe for own stay, which one would you prefer? I would imagine most of them actually they would still prefer this rank number 5 one. But of course, facing is another whole other can of worms. This one I will have to advise you accordingly, but based on what I see the buyer profile and the kind of needs, then I feel like the more privacy route might be better for people that purchase here. Okay, so now we go with rank number 4. You can see this one rank number 4, I put a remark here, the balcony is not block. Later we can compare to the other stacks. Basically what I put there is, you see this grey color part, it will be slightly block view, right? Main thing why I put this as number 4, because it already has an additional household shelter as well as a third toilet. So I think that's a win. And then they have a storage here also. So this one they have a dry kitchen and then wet kitchen and windows. And also a privacy for the entrance pathway. Yep, so you see just now when I compare the rank number 4 to this rank number 3, we're talking about the balcony. This block wall is only half of this. So I think the view here will be slightly better as compared to rank number 4 one. It's rank number 4, but we're talking about both exact same sizes. The grey color part, this is fully blocked, whereas this one is still only partially blocked. So I think that's a win for in terms of the same size layout. Then I think largely, yep, so if you compare between the two different layouts, right, actually everything else is almost the same. Household shelter, storage, third toilet, windows. Maybe this walkway portion, they both offer the same level of privacy as well as for this one. But I would prefer this one number 3 because exact same size and the balcony is less blocked. Yeah, so I think this one depends on individual. For me, I just look purely based on layout. I haven't considered the facing itself. So that one is also another whole different question, as well as what the pricing premium the developer has for each particular stack. Okay, so now we look at this 1109 square feet rank number 2. I think this one is very subjective because some people maybe they like this more, some people they don't like this as much. So for here, also the balcony is less blocked compared to the number 4 one. Okay, then here the only thing is the bedrooms. You see they have this little jutting out part. So this one I think is not going to be very substantial as compared to, let's say you see the rank number 4, right? You see this grey color part is going to obstruct a lot more of the view. Why I rank this number 2 as well is you take a look, right, between number 2 and number 3. I want you to look at this particular part, this dead space. You see, right, here there's this slightly bigger dead space. And then we look at the rank number 4, right? They also have this similar size dead space here. So if you ask me, right, in terms of the least dead space, that's why I go with this one number 2 lor. Because it feels like this one, right, it's just majority of space is really in-house and livable space. So I think to each his own, because some people maybe they don't like the dry kitchen area split into half. Whereas you see for this one, the dry kitchen kind of has a little bit more congruency. It's one straight line. This one also, the dry kitchen is one straight line. So I think there is quite a debate. This one really up to individual. But between my rank 2 and rank 3, I think can be easily swapped. Rank 4, I still feel like it's quite a firm rank 4 because of the balcony like partially being blocked. So do let me know what you feel about which one should be ranked higher between these 2, 3, 4. Alright, so now we're gonna touch on the juicy rank number 1, which is 1098 square feet. So why I rank this number 1? Pay close attention. So you see household shelter here, storage, third toilet, kitchen, window. So over here, right, you see actually it's accomplished whatever the other bigger sizes, the 1109 square feet, he already accomplished it. And I feel that is really not much difference when you compare to the other rank 2, 3, 4, and you are paying much lower overall quantum lah. It's like almost 10 square feet difference. It really depends on whether you can accept this layout and the facing. Yeah, so this one we really have to see what is the developers loading on this. For me, most value for money, I'll put this as rank 1 because simply it already fulfills a different function as compared to the smaller 3 bedrooms, and it's the smallest 3 bedroom without overpaying. Okay, so now we study Pinetree Hill, right? The 3 bedroom layouts. And then we will analyze which one is the gaps to fill that Pinetree Hill, because Pinetree Hill only got 2 layouts. And then Nava Grove we have 7. So from here, we can easily go and dig out which one Pinetree Hill don't have. Then I feel like Nava Grove in the resale market next time have a very clear opportunity to stand out. Right, so this is the first 3 bedroom type we have at Pinetree Hill. This is 969 square feet. And if we exclude the AC ledge, we are estimating about 905 square feet. This one is purely estimate, but I think it's a good reference for us to compare to the Nava Grove smaller unit sizes at 947. But you see, it's still a 50 square feet difference. So over here, you can see the only thing I don't really like about this 969 one is that you see actually they have quite a big portion that is wasted on the walkway. So I don't think it's the best use of the sizes here. And at the same time, their living dining area, right, actually feels a little bit more cramped. But this is a 900 plus square feet unit. It's on the lower side already. And on top of that, you see they actually have a slightly blocked balconies on one side. And this side is actually also halfway blocked. And you see some of the rooms also, they have this popping out ledge. Yeah, I think these are the main differences. Other than that, the master bathroom got windows, common bathroom windows, kitchen got windows. Then now we look at their 3 plus study. So it's 1216 square feet. If we exclude the AC, we are looking at about 1152 square feet. So here, also if you take note, right, it's the same thing. You have the slightly longer walkway. I think it's not that efficient of space usage. Then here you have the household shelter, the yard area which is here, and then the third toilet. So common bathroom windows, then the master bathroom windows, and then we have the kitchen windows. I think these are all very standard. But one additional thing I like about this unit type size is that they have the study area here, and then this one you have the windows. So I think sometimes they have the study area which don't even have windows. So I really don't know if you can still call that a study area. It just feels like a possible storage area. Yeah, that's it. Then here also the balcony area, you can see only about half of it is kind of have the view. This side don't have the view because it's blocked, and then this side is about a smaller portion that is unblocked. Yeah, so we have a comparison here between Pinetree Hill, the 3 bedrooms, and as well as the Nava Grove one. So you can see a very clear difference. This is a 969 and then this is 947, and this 947 is the harmonization square feet already. So this is really the livable space. Here you still need to minus off the aircon ledge. Yeah, so I think this is a very strong advantage, and you have to check whether the quantum for these 2 layouts is going to be similar. Because if these 2 quantums are similar, but the Nava Grove we are looking at almost 50 square feet advantage in terms of livable space, then I think it's a lot more value for money for the Nava Grove layout. Yeah, because you see, actually it's a dumbbell layout, so it's a lot more efficient. The amount of space wasted over here is a lot lesser. Whereas you see, actually the Pinetree Hill one, they have this portion over here that is slightly more wasted, and they have the additional space that is used for the walkway to the bedrooms. Whereas here, because it's a dumbbell layout, the amount of space is saved on this. So definitely in terms of functionality of the unit, it's going to be very similar. And you can see their kitchen, right, actually is slightly longer for the Nava Grove one. Over here, slightly longer, and they still have a small storage area. So I think it's a very, very strong difference between the smallest 3 bedroom types or between these 2 developments. And you see for the 947 square feet for the Nava Grove one, right, I think this is a really very strong entry price already. 2.19 million for a 3 bedroom RCR, 2.3k PSF. I think it's really very attractive. Okay, so you can see over here, the on top one is the transacted prices for Pinetree Hill already. The 969 square feet one, you see their price range from 2.177 to 2.567 million, and we are looking at median price of 2.364 million. And if Nava Grove 947 square feet under harmonization ruling, so this one is actually a lot bigger than this Pinetree Hill layout, and we are looking at a difference of almost 13,000 for the starting from, because Pinetree Hill, the starting from also is the cheapest is 2.177. So we have about a maybe 40 plus square feet difference, and we are paying almost only a 10 plus K difference. Yeah, and this PSF is the harmonized PSF also. So I think definitely if we are looking at Nava Grove starting from 2.19 million, it's going to be a very attractive entry price because the neighboring plot for a much bigger layout already transacted up to 2.567 million. Of course, the facing, the height of the unit itself is going to be a differentiating factor. But I think if you're looking purely at investment play, there's going to be a very safe entry price because this will be still transacting at almost 2023 for Pinetree Hill launch price. Okay, so now we'll go into the exit strategy for Nava Grove or Pinetree Hill because they're actually both in the same area. Target market is going to be the same, so it's going to be very, very similar. So here I'll cover on the future plots, transformations. So you see over here, right? Actually, previously these are all like greenery patches. Then you see this is Pinetree Hill, then Nava Grove is right beside this, right? What I mentioned about this clementi forest, you see, actually they are already all slated subject to planning. Of course, if it's subject to planning, it will take some time. But if you look at the color, it's residential color. And over here we have this entire Holland Plain, right? That is going to be launching, I don't know when for GLS, but the government already has very strong plans to develop this entire Holland area. So definitely there's a lot of transformation coming up. So yeah, this one do take note, as I mentioned about the clementi forest, the view might change. But when? I don't know. Yeah, so here you see the government already started to sell the Holland Plain sites. So this one will be awarded on December 2024. So they already started to develop the Holland Plain area, which is one of these two plots over here. Gross plot ratio 1.8, and then we are looking at 275 units. And all these here, Clementi Forest, this side, they are all subject to planning. So you see, that's why I just now mentioned about the Clementi Forest part, because even for Dover Forest, it's going to make way for housing and as well as other developments that the government is looking out for. You see, they're going to do quite a bit of stuff. Of course, they're going to study the ecological aspect of it, like if there's any impact on establishing a green corridor, but they will be doing stuff to it. What things, we also don't know exactly now. Okay, so now we look at the 3-bedroom resale near Henry Park Primary, because if I use the district itself, right, it's not a very accurate representation because Nava Grove and Pinetree Hill, they are at the fringe of CCR area, because the nearby project Trizon, later I will show you, is actually considered CCR area already. So it's a bit hard to do the comparison. So that's why I just use 1 km to Henry Park Primary as like main gauge line, because this one will be, from what I understand in the area, a lot of people that buy here, they're actually aiming for the primary school itself. So I'm just using the primary school for a fair reference because that's the only thing that ignores RCR or CCR. So over here, you see that there is 75 listings on Public Guru. So I did go and take a look. We are looking at about 30% duplicates. So we have about 53 units left. So over here, the cheapest unit here is at Cavendish Park. And then we are looking at 1.8 mil quantum for 3 bedrooms. And then this is 1227 square feet and 1.5k PSF. Of course, it's a lot older. This is 1996. So I think if you compare to Nava Grove, we are looking at a gap for 22 years old. Okay, so now the highest quantum asking in the market right now, Ridgewood Condo, we're looking at 5.5 million, 2.8k square feet, 999 leasehold, built in 1981. So the age gap to Nava Grove will be about 47 years old. If it still be around 28, yeah, then 1.9k is PSF. Okay, so now we look at the 3-bedroom transactions, which will represent the demand, 1 km of Henry Park. So from here, past 1 year, these transactions for past 1 year, we are looking at 24 units transacted for the resale, and then for the new launch, we are looking at about 41 in terms of volume. So you see here for the resale ratio, right, we are looking at about 53:24. So we estimate about 2 years for the resale ratio to clear. Whereas for the new launch ratio, Pinetree Hill versus the supply and demand over here, right, you take about 1.5 years to clear. So I think if you look at this objectively, it's quite a good ratio because over time these units will eventually clear quite fast. Every 2-3 units per month for the 3 bedrooms. Another point I want to take note is introduction of Pinetree Hill actually might have contributed to the higher resale supply in the area, and of course we will have upcoming Nava Grove to impact this older resale supply. So if there is no new supply from Pinetree Hill and Nava Grove, actually the competition in this area for the resale, let's say you look at Trizon or this, there won't be much competition for all these projects. So now we look at Pinetree Hill, right? You can see actually majority of the purchases, the previous address, we are looking at private property address, only 28% comes from HDB upgraders. So these HDB upgraders, they're likely going to come from those that profited a lot at the Dawson area, Queenstown, Clementi, multiple $1 million HDB flats. So here, the main thing is TOP date will be a bit earlier, so they have to endure a little bit of construction from Nava Grove itself and possible Pine Grove and Bloc. And you see the profile here, 91% we are looking at is Singaporeans. And the Trizon, okay, so you see Trizon, even though they are still within 1 km of Henry Park, we are already looking at CCR and it's a D10. Freehold, 2012. So over here, 77% Singaporeans. And then majority of the purchases are actually from private property address as well as 11% from HDB. So I myself actually had a client that was looking at Trizon purely because they needed the address for Henry Park Primary School. So I don't know if you feel that the school is important, but I already have buyers that have looked at Trizon purely for the primary school itself and they managed to get the kid into the school. So I do see the selling point for Pinetree Hill and Nava Grove because they are not paying the D10 freehold CCR pricing just to get the address for Henry Park Primary School. So of course here we see the schools lah. Okay, so right now I'm going to cover a very important point because not all the blocks at Nava Grove falls within 1 km to Henry Park Primary School, whereas at Pinetree Hill, all of the blocks fall in between the 1 km radius. So you can see over here, the blue color one means it's outside the 1 km radius, and then the red color one, it means that your building is within the 1 km. So this one I think we need further confirmation from the developer itself, but for now, what I heard, there's only 2 blocks that is within the 1 km radius. So now we look at this nearby development, Pine Grove, which is right below Nava Grove, and they have the same problem, which is a portion of the development falls outside the 1 km of Henry Park Primary School, and the other portion falls within 1 km of Henry Park Primary School. So over here I studied, right? You see, I split it into 2. So this side will be the not within 1 km, and then this side will be the 1 km. So the blocks outside 1 km of the Henry Park Primary School, they are Block 1A, B, P, Q, and C. Okay? So now I look at the past 5 years most profitable transactions at Pine Grove. You see, the ones I highlighted over here, they are the ones with outside of the 1 km radius for Henry Park. And you can see, right, most of these they still take much longer to achieve the same amount of profits as those blocks that is within the 1 km radius. So you see over here, some of them are in the 20 plus years, and some of them, the top 2 hold I think at least 3 years, 4 years lesser. Those within the 1 km hold 3-4 years lesser than those outside 1 km to earn even lesser profits. So I think just based on the most profitable transactions, a high proportion of the blocks within the 1 km actually comes from those that is within 1 km radius of Henry Park Primary. I think this is just purely statistics. Of course, I think if you don't think the school is important, then maybe this is not that relevant to you. But for me, when I look at the development itself, it seems that the buyers here do really take note of their property address, whether it's within 1 km radius to the school or not. And now we look at the least profitable transactions. You can see the ones I highlighted over here, and here. So a very good portion of the units in the low profits, actually a lot of them are outside of the 1 km for Henry Park. You see, only out of these many transactions, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Only 4 blocks, only 4 units come from the within 1 km radius for the lower profit margin side. So what does this tell you? I would say if today you are investor or even for own stay, right? Even if you don't have a kid and you're not looking for the primary school, try to go for those within the radius of the primary school, because I think very likely from the buyer's behavior over here, it will hugely impact your exit strategy in the future, as well as your resale profit margins. So I think these are all very important points that maybe you might not have taken note of when you are buying into Nava Grove or Pinetree Hill. But this is what I see at Pine Grove condominium which is right beside, and it's very telling of the buyer behavior over here. Okay, so now we study closely, right? If this Henry Park effect is really true, this block is within the 1 km, this block is not within 1 km. So I think I want you to take note is the selling date. So they are both transacted in 2021. So I would say it's quite similar lah. So this within 1 km one, they profited 1.2 million in 19 years. Whereas for that block P outside of 1 km, right, they took 22 years to earn 800k. So I would say it's very weak in terms of capital appreciation. Of course, you can say, oh, is it because of renovation cost, all this? I don't know. I don't have that much data on hand. But from what I see, it seems that the school effect is very significant factor. So another example, within 1 km, not within 1 km. So for this one, they both took the same amount of profit, but one of them took 6 years and the other one took 12 years. So I think this is something that you all need to take note. And of course, I think the person that bought this unit, they might have done some renovations. This one I'm not completely sure, but it does seem like there's a very big disparity in terms of whether you are in the 1 km versus you're not in the 1 km. Yeah, so same thing here. This one, this block A outside of 1 km, and then block E is within the 1 km. So you can see, right, block A took 10 years to make 400k, whereas block E took about 6 years to make 600k. So you see over here, basically block 1C outside 1 km, block 1J within 1 km, they are both at the same exact date. They are so 19 July 10, 19 July 10. You can see for here, the buyers were willing to pay for a second floor unit at a much higher price as compared to a 16th floor unit at 1.47. So from here, right, even back in 2010, you can already see the buyer's main priority is, I'm quite sure it's the primary school. Even though it's a lower floor, they were willing to go for block J itself. Then you can see just based on a 1 year differential in terms of selling period, this BD 1 km one second floor unit was able to sell 200 plus K above the profits for the 16th floor unit. But of course, within the 1 year, maybe it will have appreciated by about 100k. But I think main thing you can see is the timing where people choose to buy. They were still willing to pay a higher price for a lower floor unit as compared to a higher floor unit. I think 14 floors difference, you cannot tell me there's no difference. And it's still paying the same price. Of course, I don't know what is the renovation that they had, but I don't think it's going to be a very big factor when you see what the buyers looking out for this particular development or area itself. Alright, so now for the last part, we'll be looking at the price analysis for Nava Grove itself. Okay, so here we studied the actual launch day, right, for Pinetree Hill itself. So those in yellow color, which is this one, is the ones that is sold on the actual day for the 3 bedrooms. You see, it's the 969 square feet quantum. Whereas the red color ones, they are sold after launch day. So right now, right, the green color ones are the units that's currently still available at Pinetree Hill. Then you can see 1404, 1309, 1023, and then 1016. So why this one is 14th floor and why this one is 13th floor? Because they only recently got sold off. Like, I don't even have the pricing yet. It's so fresh. But do note that the units at Pinetree Hill are also moving. So you can see actually in terms of per square feet, it's still very, very attractive. So from here, we can actually still see there's stack 16, stack 23, right? It's still available at Pinetree Hill. So what does this mean? This means that at the 2.5k PSF quantum, people might not be able to accept it yet, or the quantum of 3 million plus for a 3 bedroom, people might not be so readily able to accept this price yet, or maybe they are just waiting to see what possible pricing they can get at Nava Grove. So for launch day itself, right, we are looking at stack 1 is the most popular, which is this 936 square feet one. So for Nava Grove, I expect the smaller layout that is similar facing will have the similar performance, because you see this one is the cheapest at 2326 PSF. Whereas the rest they are in the 24, 24, 25, 25, 25, 25. So that's why those are moving slightly slower. But here, I guess it's more of a quantum play for the smaller 3 bedroom sizes. So recently, so as I mentioned just now, stack 4, stack 9, stack 16, stack 23. Okay, so this one is mainly studying the developers' pricing behavior. So you can see they also, this stack 4, right? I think because these 2 stacks are facing towards Pine Grove, which has a possibility of en bloc. So that's why they price it the cheapest, because there is a lot more uncertainty lah. Yeah, then where else you see the swimming pool facing, and then we have the Clementi Forest facing, right? Those are the more expensive stacks already. So now we look at the Nava Grove 3-bedroom analysis. For this one is the unit selection for in terms of which facing lah. So you see over here, you can see Nava Grove, this side, right, as I mentioned, the Clementi Forest is zone subject to planning, so we don't know how long the views will continue to be there. And then at the same time, we have this Pine Grove and Bloc possibility. And then right beside, we have Pinetree Hill lah. So the 947 square feet one, which is dark blue, I rank this one as rank number 1 for views, and then rank number 2 lah. Yeah, because why I choose this one rank number 1 is because you'll be facing towards the swimming pool, so very likely your views won't change even in the longer term. So I think this is a plus point, but it would be, you can see from the Pinetree Hill developer pricing behavior, they're gonna price this one more expensive, and this rank number 2 is probably also gonna be not cheap as well. So the cheaper ones it very likely will come from these stacks. So do take note lah, if you are looking purely for investment and you don't really care about what views you're looking out for, you just want the lowest PSF, very likely it's going to be coming from these two sites. Okay, so now for the 990 square feet one, yeah, so I think this one will be one of the cheapest. If I guess correctly, this one should be also very close to the starting PSF of 2.3k range for harmonization. So this one you still need to account for maybe 7% minus off. So I think this is a very, very attractive entry price. Of course, you need to compare to what Pinetree Hill transacted for the similar facing in order to know if you're overpaying or you are getting a value buy. For the 990 teal color one, this one will be slightly more expensive and only got one facing. Yeah, then the 1098 purple color one, so this one also will be slightly more expensive facing. 1109 will be this particular facing. So this one I think will be the cheaper ones in the 2.3k range, 2.4k range, or even maybe 2.5k range. Yeah, so this one really have to see how much the developer is going to be for the loading per floor, how much they're going to do it now. Then for the 1109, another stack will be facing towards this side. So this side I'm quite sure will be slightly more expensive, but it will be facing towards Pinetree Hill there. So I don't know if the developer will actually price it slightly cheaper simply because it's facing towards Pinetree Hill. Okay, so last but not least, we have the last 1109 square feet one. So this one will be facing towards Pine Grove. So I think this one also probably is on the lower PSF range. So from what I see, if we are, you see, my estimate already so off. If we are at 2.5k PSF, right, I think this one should be already at least the mid floor or even the better facing floors. Better facing and higher floor units. So we are looking at, let's say 947 is at 2.368 million. So the price gap between the different sizes, we are looking at 100k for the 947 to 990. Then the 990 to 1098, we are looking at 270k. And then 1098 to 1109 will be at 27k. So this one I think have to see case by case in terms of facing and also your budget. So this one I think it'll be easier for me to advise you if I know your exact max all that stuff. So here I would always like to study the behavior of the buyers. So if today, right, your buyer looking for Henry Park and then they feel like, wow, Bukit Timah area, D10, too expensive, CCR is too expensive, then what they do is they will go to the Ulu Pandan area. So instead of the D10 Holland V there, they will still go Ulu Pandan there because it's still within the 1km for Henry Park Primary School. So to me, because I'm purely looking at the investment perspective and resale profit, right, it's not whether Henry Park is a good school or not. To me, it is also studying about the buyer's behavior and what they're thinking of. So if they are willing to pay more for a certain school, that's where I'm going to put my money. And this is where I can profit the highest within the shortest period of time. So I'm not here to debate about whether Henry Park is a good school or not. It's more of whether I can profit the most from this particular school advantage that I can use. Okay, so right now we will look at the 3-bedroom transactions in the area. Okay, so over here, summary is highest PSF within 1km of Henry Park. We are looking at 2337 PSF, and then the highest quantum within 1km, we are looking at Fortana Heights, 3 bedrooms, 3466 square feet, 2237 PSF, and then we have 8.1 million. So definitely I think very, very impressive in terms of 1km from Henry Park Primary, and we have already a lot from D10 and their freehold status, and 8.1 million, it does make a very good sign that buyers are willing to pay this quantum for this particular area itself. Of course, you can say, oh, that one is District 21, this one is D10, but they are 1km. So I think this is something that you have to take note. And then here, of course, this is the new launch at Pinetree Hill. So for here, we can already see the highest PSF within 1km. We are looking at 2650 PSF. So definitely a very attractive entry price in terms of Nava Grove. And then highest quantum within 1 km, Pinetree Hill, 1421 square feet, and we are looking at 2316 PSF for the 3 bedrooms. So quantum, we are looking at 3.291 million. So over here, pardon my spelling here is wrong, it's summary. Okay, summary for the gaps to fill, right? So I've already identified for Nava Grove and Pinetree Hill, right? So when we look at Pinetree Hill, what is the remaining stock at Pinetree Hill and what pricing they are selling at? So from there, I studied that the gaps to fill for Nava Grove. So the bigger the gap that the Nava Grove can fill for the certain 3-bedroom types at Nava Grove, then they very likely will be able to profit much more as you compare to you buy a bigger bedroom Nava Grove unit, but maybe the price gap is not that much from a certain unit type at Pinetree Hill. So this one is going to be a little bit sensitive. I don't think I can share this online freely like this. If you like to find out more, you can approach me. I've already done this for my clients. So for this, right, my client already have a very defined walk-away price when it comes to Nava Grove, because when you compare, if Nava Grove they have a certain pricing and then Pinetree Hill also have the same pricing, right, then I think it's better to reassess and then see if you're actually overpaying for this particular Nava Grove unit, or is the Pinetree Hill unit more value for money. So I will do this comparison and I have already prepared certain data that I cannot share freely. Yeah, so if you want to find out more, you can PM me through WhatsApp, and I'll be able to share with you this particular information, which I find is going to be very useful, because I think for balloting day itself, yes, even though the project development might be selling a very attractive PSF, I think there will be a lot of emotions. So for this, I think if you have a certain PSF or price quantum that you already look out for this particular development, I think it will give you a very safe entry, so you know that, oh, this is something that I need to walk away from, and this is, if I go for this price, I'm not overpaying. So I want to make sure my clients also have done their due diligence and make an informed decision. So this one, PM me to find out more, I cannot share here. Alright, so Pinetree Hill and Nava Grove, pros and cons. So pros, very strong one. Pinetree Hill is all going to be 1 km of Henry Park. Whereas pros for Nava Grove, we are looking at harmonization. So whatever you see in the square feet is what is the livable space, very efficient, and it is able to fill certain gaps and PSF that Pinetree Hill wasn't able to fill. So this one, I think, is where you can get the most value for money purchases, as well as the highest potential for capital appreciation for Nava Grove. And of course, the cons will be certain unit types, and like the 969 square feet one, the smaller one, already sold out, and particular quantum. So for this one, I think Nava Grove will be able to fill in this gap. And for Nava Grove, as of now, from developer, not all blocks are within 1 km of Henry Park. Alright, so pros for both developments. So PSF and quantum is definitely tested in the area. It's near Henry Park Primary. RCR, right, is going to be a very attractive PSF, and is also the fringe of CCR area. Very low in terms of competition in supply in the resale market and also in the new launch market. So the next newest one is of course Trizone, that is already TOP in 2012. So it's at least a 10-year, 15-year gap from Nava Grove and Pinetree Hill. And also the cons for both development, of course, it's going to be not near MRT. But I think for people that are staying here, very likely they are not looking for MRT. Of course, MRT every Singaporean would prefer, but I think very likely they're okay without it, because most of them will be driving. Yeah, so I think this is something that you have to understand who are the profile of the buyers staying here. Okay, so that comes to the end of my sharing for what to buy at Nava Grove, as well as my analysis. So the preview starts on 2nd of November and the booking day is on the 16th of November. So at least this one, we have more clarity from the developer that the preview date and booking date is confirmed. Whereas for Emerald of Katong and Chuang Park, that one is still in the air. We don't know what's going on over there. So if you found my analysis useful and you are looking to make a booking for Nava Grove and you're not sure, is it am I missing something at Pinetree Hill, or is Nava Grove still the better buy? Feel free to drop me a WhatsApp and I can advise you accordingly, because I think property purchases are very big quantum. So the moment you make a purchase, you'll be stuck with it at least for 3 to 5 years time frame, and I don't want you to make the wrong decision. So of course, I want you to make the best use of the particular funds that you are entering the market. I hope you found my sharing today useful. Alright, so that's it for me. Bye.